What's up, everybody? So wanted to make this video to help out anybody that might be applying to physical therapy school and might be feeling a little discouraged, down in the dumps, or just kind of unconfident. I wrote down 8 tips on what I would do if I were in your position. Let's say you're junior year undergrad, senior year undergrad, or if you've already finished undergrad, how do you get into PT school, physical therapy school? And this is coming from someone who, it took me 3 tries to get in, and very, very discouraged and almost had no hope, especially during that last application cycle. It was kind of almost like a shot from half court. Like, if I get in, I get in. If I don't, I'm probably gonna have to move on. Because it's a daunting experience, and any way that I can make this experience easier for someone else, that's a win for me. So we'll get right into it. We got 8 tips, wrote them down on my little sticky note here. We'll start with number 1. Number 1 is gonna be, of course, to optimize your GPA. This is one of the biggest factors that schools look into, and some schools don't even allow you to apply to their school if you don't have a certain number GPA. So I would say if you're in undergrad and you're taking the prereqs and you're in school, take the classes very seriously, especially the ones that will end up being prerequisites, like your anatomies, your physics, your chemistries, all those classes. Those are very, very important. For me, I didn't take them seriously, and probably one of the biggest reasons why I didn't get in right away. When I was in undergrad, I definitely got mostly B's and C's and a couple A's just overall. And I knew right away that wasn't gonna cut it to get into PT school. So when I finished undergrad, I had to go and look into my local community college and retake every single prereq. So that means I went back and took probably about 7 classes. Like Physics 1, Physics 2, Anatomy 1, Anatomy 2, literally every single prereq I retook, which was hard. There was a bit of, ego involved. I didn't want to do that. I didn't think it was necessary, but I had to. There was no other way to, get that GPA back, because full transparency, my GPA just raw coming out of undergrad was 3.08. And that's not getting you in anywhere. So GPA, very important. Retake those classes, don't wait, just get them out of the way. Number 2 is to create meaningful relationships for recommendation letters. I think the rec letters are a huge way for these schools to actually get a feel and see what other people are saying about you. And a couple ways to do that is, 1, if it's a teacher, I would say, don't just ask a teacher that you've never even spoken to for a rec letter, because they're just they probably have like basic generic rec letters that they just send out for anybody, and it's just gonna have no substance and no meaning, and it's not gonna move the needle. So if it's a teacher, I would just go to their office hours and just talk about the class, maybe talk about life, go 3 to 4 times. That's probably all it's gonna take. It's not gonna be, you kissing their ass or you trying your hardest to get that rec letter. They can see through it, but if you just be yourself and just have meaningful conversations with them, they're at least gonna have something else to write about than just their basic rec letter. Same goes for if you're working for a PT clinic as an aide and you're gonna ask one of the PTs for a rec letter. Don't just show up to work and just do your job. Try to go that extra effort. Try to, show you care. Make side talk with them. Again, not kissing ass, but just act like you care. Act like you want to be there. Give them a reason. Give them something to talk about in the rec letter. Number 3 is to diversify your clinical experiences. When I was doing my shadow hours and 8 hours, I mixed it up. I had probably over 1,000 hours in a hospital setting, like inpatient, and over 1,000 hours in outpatient orthopedic rehab center. So I had that amount of time because, again, I didn't get into PT school right away. So there was probably like a 2.5, 3-year gap in between my undergrad and PT school. So I just worked during those hours. I had full-time jobs, you know, half of it was in a hospital, half of it was in an outpatient setting. So schools like to see that, just because when you have that diverse experience, you're gonna know exactly what's coming at you for PT school. So it really helps. Number 4 is to research the schools that you're applying to very intently. I didn't do this when I first applied. I kind of just wanted to stay in my state and just picked 4 schools, applied to them. And what went wrong with this was that I was applying to schools that required prereqs that I didn't take. So it's a simple error on my end that I could have easily, you know, eliminated if I just did some research on the school. Same thing with like knowing what their requirements overall in terms of GPA, clinical hours, if they want a GRE, if they don't. Just know exactly what you're applying to, because it's going to save you a headache going forward if they just deny you right away. I always share this story of there was one school that I applied to, and when I submitted my PT-CAS application, they sent me a rejection letter 2 hours after that. And again, it's because I didn't read the prereqs and I didn't know what I was applying to, and it's my fault. It's my fault. So don't make that mistake. So that leads us to number 5 is optimize your essays. The essays are another massive way for the schools to get a feel for who you are. And I mean, these days, you know, you got the chat box, you got the chat GPTs. Schools are going to be able to see through that. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I can tell if I'm reading something. I can tell if it's somewhat AI influenced versus someone's real, you know, words and experiences. So I'm not saying don't use it, because it can really help, of course, but really try to optimize these essays like it's coming from you. They're trying to get a feel for personality. They're trying to get a feel for vibes. And if they're just gonna read the same cookie cutter AI essay from every applicant, you're not gonna stand out. And it's really all about standing out. How can you stand out from the horde of applicants that are trying to get into the same school you're trying to get into? So yeah, it's gonna take all kinds of, you know, rough drafts, second drafts, third drafts. Give it to people, let them read it. You know, find ways to add emotion to it, find ways to add, like, you know, your feelings to it, and yeah, just make sure those are perfect. And that takes us to number 6. I would do, if I were in a position where I'm trying to get into a school, I would be trying to contact their administration aggressively. Like, they have, every school has an email that you can, you know, utilize to, you know, reach out. And my thing is, the more they see your name and the more they are, you know, talking with you, they're gonna see how much you care and how much you want to be a part of the program. So this is something, again, I didn't do, but I had friends that did it, and some people got interviews just from doing that. Like, one of my buddies said that, you know, like, we really see that you care, and we're just gonna give you an interview once you apply, because this is what we want to see. So even if it's just normal questions, even if it's questions about the school, about what they expect out of their applicants, about, you know, a little detail that you may have missed or anything, just email, make them feel sick of your name, because when they're going through the list and they see your name, they're going to remember you. It takes us to number 7 here, which is just make sure the PT-CAS application is absolutely perfect. My theory is that they make that application daunting and, you know, overwhelming, because it almost serves as a filter. Like, for some people, like, if you can't fill that out correctly, they're just gonna toss it. Like that, they probably get, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of applicants. And if I'm looking at a spread of applicants and I see that these people didn't even do it right, I'm just gonna toss those. Like, I'm not even gonna consider them. So really make sure you dot your I's, cross your T's, and perfect that PT-CAS application. Again, this is something that I didn't do that first round. I don't even know what I submitted. It was a joke. I was missing a couple things. It was late. Make sure you apply early too. Like whatever their deadline is, don't make that the day you apply. Just have that ready as soon as possible. And again, make sure it's absolutely just bulletproof, because again, it's a filter that schools use to just see ya. And then the last one, number 8, when the time comes and you do get an interview, just really prep for that interview intently. And I'm not talking just watch a couple YouTube videos. These days, if I were someone who was getting ready for an interview, I'd probably go to a chat GPT or some kind of chat bot, and I'd give them a prompt and say, hey, give me 10 questions that I should prepare for a physical therapy school interview, and get those questions down, write them all out, and write out your answers, because odds are you're gonna get very similar questions. And if you've already written out answers and said them out loud, it's gonna come more naturally, and you're gonna come off as more confident and just prepared, ready to go. And yeah, I just do your best to just don't just show up to the interview raw, like not knowing what they're gonna say or what to say yourself. I would just practice actually getting the words out of your mouth, and that's just gonna put you in a really good spot. And then yeah, overall, just remain confident, stay calm. I was deep in the trenches when I was applying for that 3rd cycle. Like it took me, like I said, 3 tries, and seriously, some of the hardest moments of, am I gonna get in? Am I not gonna get in? Yeah, last piece of information, just stay calm and remain confident. I know this is a very daunting and overwhelming experience, especially if you have already gotten denied. Like I know that feeling when the email comes in and it's just like, we regret to inform you, this and that. It's a smack to the ego. It's a smack to like your soul, so just remain confident, keep applying, and yeah, just do your best. Follow these 8 tips. If you give it your absolute best and you continue to apply yourself and apply to these schools, they're gonna see that. And I think that's how I got in. Like I applied to the same schools every year, and it felt like I got closer and closer and closer each year, and then I finally, got in, of course. But yeah, don't worry about it. You got it. Feel free to send me any messages. I'm here to help. Peace.